Hi, I'm Matt York from Video Maker. It's 2016 now, and behind me is a large monitor with me on it from 1992. So this is 24 years ago. 24 years ago, and I'm saying things here that are interesting, and I just would never have imagined where we are today. And as it relates to video technology and how it could be used for the betterment of mankind. So there's the opening sequence here. I'm talking about what it was like for me as a little kid in like 1962 to see myself on television, on a video screen. But today, children who are 5 years old, like I have a grandson, he thinks nothing of it. You know, we shoot video of him because everybody has a video camera in their pocket, all right? And we shoot video of him and we show it to him right away and he can play it back. And now he doesn't quite know it. We can upload it to YouTube, but obviously we can. And so the way in which we envision video today in our society is very, very different than when I was younger. And I guess I'm feeling kind of old, but really things have changed really, really, really fast. I'm going to play another section of this and just make some comments about the thoughts I was sharing 24 years ago. In this case, I was just talking about what it was like to be thrilled and to be in the same environment as a famous newscaster. In this case, it was Walter Cronkite, because I was on the Bozo Show, which is a kid's show in New York City with a clown. Everyone knows Bozo, I guess, right? I'm going to go for my next thought here about what is the next thing I say.
Because I find it was on TV too, so I thought that was really, my feeling about being on video was very different from my sons of today, where he was on video before he even knew what video was.
Yeah, so there I'm talking about my son, and now I'm talking about my grandson. So really, in a couple generations, how we feel about video has changed dramatically. Again, it's just amazing that we could put hours of video on this little thing that it lives in our pockets all the time.
This is a very important thing for me in my life. I've always thought since, back when I was in college, that more people should use video cameras. What can I do to kind of make a living and also be a part of that philosophy? Ours is the first.
Yeah, so those thoughts continue. What can mankind use video for to increase the quality of life of all of us on the planet? And for the last 30 years, Video Maker has tried to inspire people in the developed world to make better video. And about 8 years ago, we launched a nonprofit called One Mobile Projector Per Trainer. And what that organization does is it helps charity staff members working in the poorest places in the world to make short videos to provide instruction to the poorest people in the world about how they can increase their quality of life, either by a small change in their farming practices, a small change in their hygiene practices. Our most adventurous work to date was with the Ebola crisis in 2014. We got started with that, and we went to the outbreak center, helping people to understand that if there was a sick person, they really could not touch them. A really complicated concept. So we helped local people make short videos about how to care for the sick. And then the most exciting part of what we do is we shared those videos with battery-powered video projectors. So something about the same size as this, that you shoot it at the wall and you can share video with this device that's chargeable by solar panels or by plugging into the dashboard of a car, or even using alligator clips on a motor scooter battery. So I'm still committed to increasing the quality of life for people around the world by leveraging video technology. So this has been an enduring theme in my life. That was way back in 1992. I think this theme began in 1976 when I started making Super 8 films, which cost about $10 a minute back in those days, back in 1976. Now it's there's no real cost to make video on these devices. So take a look at my next thought here and give you some commentary on that.
First magazine devoted to video production by the everyday person, just common individual. We're all about putting a camcorder on your shoulder or in your hand and going out and doing something. The magazine has nothing to do with sitting on a couch and watching television.
And so way back in 1992, we just had a paper magazine. There was no internet back in 1992. We actually launched our website in 1994. So I guess I say there's no internet. There was for the super geeks. They really knew that there was something out there that allowed people to link their computers together. But these days, surprisingly, we still have a paper magazine in 2016. Many times I would have thought it'd be gone by now, just would have kind of outlived its usefulness. But most of the influence we have over our community of people who want to make videos is on the website with maybe like 500,000 visitors a month. Or actually, I got a cameraman behind me. And Chris, you know the social media metrics, right? What are the social media metrics?
128,000 on YouTube.
128,000 on YouTube.
77,000 on Facebook.
77,000 on Facebook.
And 18,000 on Instagram.
And 18,000 on Instagram.
Same on Twitter, 18,000.
And same on Twitter. So we influence people from the website, social media. We still have a paper magazine. We do face-to-face events. There was a time we did expos in New York and in LA twice a year. And the most successful expo had like 70 exhibitors and 3,000 people. So it's been quite a journey with Videomaker, but back in 92, it was only a paper magazine. Today, we're much more and still a paper magazine.
I think that there's a great example of application of video cameras to evolve cultural change that we've got.
Yeah, so well, again, that many years ago, I was talking about using video to evoke cultural change. And it really has happened. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Maybe we played a tiny part in that, but certainly the incredible developments like YouTube and like these Android and iPhones, and just the lowering of price and the reduction of storage requirements for video. You know, Moore's law, where you just continue to have more and more data living on a smaller and smaller piece of media. It's just amazing that you have a micro SD card the size of your pinky fingernail can hold hours and hours of video. Just a mind-boggling concept that allows us to leverage these things so a layperson can capture some video. I think I'll go on here to talk about how police can be monitored a little more closely. And you know, that really has come to pass. Way back then, I was talking about the Rodney King incident, and really, actually, probably in 2015, there were so many recordings of police abuse that it just became really disturbing for all of us in the U.S. We don't know if these are anomalies that are finally being videotaped, or if the police have been abusive since, you know, the craft or the occupation began. But no less, it's probably really hard to be a policeman right now, and I empathize with that. I appreciate policemen. They put their lives at stake for us, and I think they too want to be accountable. But apparently there's bad plumbers, and there's, you know, bad stockbrokers, and there's bad ditch diggers. There's, you know, bad policemen who just don't conduct themselves properly, or they lose their temper. So now they're probably acting a little bit more responsible, but hopefully it doesn't restrain them too much, so that if they actually do need to use force, because there is somebody who's really dangerous, that they themselves are not endangered by being too restrained. So, you know, video is a complicated thing. It can help us make better police and maybe a safer society, but we certainly don't want all of this to backfire on law enforcement, because they're putting their lives at stake every day for us. So I don't empathize I'm glad I'm not a policeman right now. It's a really complicated time to be a policeman. And many of them have body cams or dash cams today. It's just videos being recorded all the time these days.
Or resources for the earth. Video equipment should be used to facilitate
Yeah, so it's interesting for me to make a comment about video being used to have a deeper understanding of our culture or one another. And again, it's, I guess it's a natural outgrowth of my youthful enthusiasm. I'm 59 now, so that was way back when I was in my 30s, that we're now using video with one mobile projector per trainer to help the poorest people in the world to lift themselves out of poverty. But also, we have a long-term vision at that organization to enable the disenfranchised, the disconnected people in the remote corners of the earth to actually have a dialogue with people like us here because of the internet. You know, most of the people we serve are off the internet, so we serve them by some way of something called we call the sneaker net, where you put the SD card out of the camera, put it in your pocket, and walk with your sneakers to the next village until there is an internet connection. But we can actually allow people in the most remote parts of the world who are trapped in poverty to actually be accessible and be in a dialogue with people like us here in sunny Northern California, where we're relatively comfortable, and they can make a direct appeal to us to either, you know, show concern for them, to know about their condition, to, you know, meditate for them, or to pray for them, or to make a donation to them, or to lobby for them, or to advocate for them. It's just a really incredible time that we really are discovering that we are a global village. You know, when I first got into the video field in 1978 in New York City, there was this organization called Global Village in Soho, and it was really all about the democratization of video and how it could be used to improve mankind. So we are finally seeing that, where we do live in a village where we know about each other's abundances or surpluses and deficiencies, and now we can actually be in a dialogue so that we can address those things together as one humanity. Yeah, talking about the Rodney King episode, just really, really interesting how here so many years later, it's the same kind of thing. We have the, police being videotaped, doing things that are not admirable for the craft of law enforcement. We know that the vast majority of people in law enforcement are fantastic, and we really appreciate them. But when a few of them are caught on video doing things that are maybe don't look right, maybe they are right, it just doesn't look right, it just really shakes society to its foundations about, you know, what we should do and how we should conduct our affairs.
Accountable. It's probably a good thing for society. I think that since camcorders are so abundant, it is very easy to videotape or find yourself being videotaped without your knowledge. And I think that's really the other side of the coin, the real danger here, where if we don't have...
You're talking about finding ourselves being videotaped without our knowledge, but you know, every time we're in a retail store or walking down a street, we're probably being videotaped. It's just absolutely videotaped, old word now. It should just be videoed, you know, or being recorded. We have security systems around this building. You know, I got 3 or 4 security cameras around this building. So, and when something goes haywire, like the terrorist activities in San Bernardino, they were able to trace these people's movements because there's so many places where video cameras exist. So we live in a really different world where there's just a lot of video being recorded and being available to sift through should there be such a need at a later date. You know, we're actually, as we are recording this now, I think it's the FBI and Apple are engaged in a battle over whether or not Apple should be forced to write software to invade the hard shell, the security shell around the software, preventing the owner of this particular iPhone to share their data. So it's just fascinating what kind of things we are coping with these days about privacy and kind of the tracks we leave behind ourselves.
Faith that actions are safe and private, then that could be a really negative thing for society as we move further through.
You're talking about kind of the invasion of privacy. You know, really, what is privacy? If you're if you're out in public, you really don't have privacy. You just don't think you're being recorded, but you are, and you don't really have necessarily the rights to privacy that you once thought you had. At least your movements can be easily monitored.
I think that there's going to be so many positions that are going to be able to be captured and presented through video that we're going to better be able to get to the truth of the matter. What we should be doing with any of these hot political issues that most major advertisers don't want to touch on network TV. The truth of the matter will come through if enough people have access to the technology.
So I said the truth of the matter will come through if enough people have access to the technology, and certainly that seems to have manifested itself. Maybe to excess. Gosh, we really are quite divided and polarized today because our news outlets and websites have become quite narrowly focused in a particular belief set or political orientation, and it's caused a great deal of tension for us, at least during this election cycle, as we see the next election occurring this year. It looks like it's going to be on the Republican side, Ted Cruz versus Donald Trump, and on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. So a lot of polarization. So in any event, it's really a privilege to be involved in the archive. It's just a thrill to be here. There are so many people around the world doing such great things with videos. It was a thrill to be involved in this 30 years ago in the beginning, and it's great that you guys are continuing to keep up the great work and try to present it. So thanks for inviting us to be a part of it again all these years later.